Hi everyone and welcome to another tutorial. Today I am building a scene with the Fairy-Tale Friendship stamp set, and I'm also going to show you some coloring, but if you don't want to see the coloring, there should be a timestamp somewhere that will take you to the card making. So I begin here by coloring the little castle. There is 5 stamps in this stamp set, so I'm going to color all of them. I'm going to build a scene with them. I am coloring this castle with my tea grays because I like that they are a warm gray but not as warm as the warm grays. I am coloring first a layer of the lightest color, which is the T0, and then I'm going in shadow with the T4, spreading those shadows out with the T2, and then finally going over again with the T0. I'm doing this to get a little bit of a deeper gray, but still not as dark as the T2 for the background, but also because by wetting the area, the blends are a little bit easier because the ink has a little place to move because of the ink already being in the paper, like the darker inks, so it's easier to make a blend. And that is also the reason why I am coloring piece by piece on this. This is a little bit of a bigger stamp, and therefore by coloring in small pieces I will get a better blend because the pen markers will not have the possibility to dry out. For the roofs, the flags, and the little door, I'm using some very beautiful kind of tattered rose pink. So it's like a pink orange. If you want to see more projects like this, I have one from Monday just on my blog. No video for that, but you can always find it there. I'm using the R01 RV 42 and R02. The RV helps to kind of pop that pink because it has a little bit of a pinker note to it, and also was a perfect mid-tone between R01 and R02. Then we're going on with the dragon, and this whole project have the same color scheme. I'm using the same markers, the R02 blend, the toner grays, and then I just add a couple more colors for the princesses. Before the dragon, I'm just going in with those. I have a little bit hard time blending from the RV42 to the R01, and that's because the R01 is a little bit dry. I need a refill for that marker, just as many markers that I have in my stash. Someday I'll get markers to all of my pens. After doing the full blend, I'm coloring those little things they have on the back with the T2, I think it is. And then I'm doing a little bit of a dotting technique. Dotting techniques are perfect both to imitate scales, but also to hide bad blending. I do feel that maybe I shouldn't have put the dotting technique on his nose. That is a little... I wish I hadn't. And as a last step, I'm actually going over with the R01 on top of the dots to make them a little like less contrasty. It kind of helps them go into the background a little. And then I use my white gel pen to add a little bit of dots and some of those little stars to make it look like our dragon is glittering, because who don't want a glittering dragon? For the first little princess, I'm using the same skin tone on all my princesses, and that is E11, E21, E00, and E50. And then I'm going in with some cheeks on the R30 and R32. The dress is the R02 combination and the T markers, and for her hair, I'm using E40, E41, and E42 to get that very light kind of almost platinum blonde tone. I'm doing the same thing on princess number 2, which I call right facing princess. I'm using the exact same color schemes. The only difference is that this little princess has a crown, so I'm coloring the crown in silver just because I don't want to add another color to the color scheme. If I would have added a yellow, I would have needed to add the yellow tone to some other pieces just to balance it. So I'm just doing the crowns in silver. For the last princess, the only difference with her is that for her hair, I'm kind of pushing it up a little darker note. So I'm doing the E41, 42 and 43 instead of 40, 41, 42. So I'm just getting that 43 in a little bit darker and just leaving that E40 out. And that helps putting her hair to a slightly darker tone. I also cut all of my pieces out. I love fussy cutting. So this one I do on camera. The other ones I just cuddle up in the sofa with my scissors and then cut away watching some TV series. Do a lot of coloring and cutting in front of the TV. Next step is the background. I lost a little bit of clip, but basically, I am using Tattered Rose Distress ink to just fully blend this sheet. I don't really matter if it's a little bit blotchy. On Neenah, ink can most often be blotchy, but I'm gonna do a dotting thing on it, so I don't have to worry. Start with pouring a little bit of water in my hand, or spraying a little bit of water in my hand, picking it up with my fingers and just splattering it on. And then I'm using a paper cloth to remove that water. So you have this very, very light splatter of water. Then I'm using some Tattered Rose Distress inks and I think this is a 4 size brush, and just splatter that onto my card base. I do the same with some worn lipstick ink, which basically is kind of tone in tone but just darker with the Tattered Rose. They do work together really, really good. And then I just splattered that on to my heart's desire. Is that how you say it? I use some Walnut Stain ink to give a little bit more of a brown splatter. The walnut ink is kind of towards can when it dries can be a little bit like grayish and not so deep brown, and I really like it with this. And to finish it off, I'm using the Gansai something, they will be linked in the description down below, colors, and there's this beautiful gold, and I'm just gonna do some more splatter with that gold to just give it a little bit extra. Yes, that little bit extra, you know, I always need to be a little bit extra. But this is also a really good way of using those kind of metallic inks or watercolors that you have. To build the scene, this is going to be my grass. So no green, just going in with like a tone in tone card. So I'm starting off with these grass dies. These are the Slimline one. I think they have like just A2 ones also, but I kind of like that these can work for both. And then I'm gonna have a back piece, and I'm gonna use this straight one for that back piece. So I'm just kind of lining it up where I want it. I'm reusing that little tape piece from, it's just like masking tape for wallpaper that I'm using. And then I'm gonna start, I'm gonna make a sentiment. So the sentiment I'm using here is from the Super stamp set. It will be linked in the description down below. It says wishing you a super birthday. I really recommend just mixing and matching your sentiments together with your stamp set. The Fairy-Tale Friendship didn't have a birthday sentiment, so I thought this would be perfect for this. Now I'm going to use the Tattered Rose again. However, when you stamp sentiments with the recess ink, they don't come out perfect. So I am actually going to stamp this 3 times. I just use my arm and my t-shirt or my shirt when I press down stamps, but there are tools for that nowadays, you know. After doing it for 3 times, I'm gonna give it a little bit more, and that is I'm going to heat emboss it. So I'm using some Versamark on top of it. This is what a Misty does really, really good, to stamp the same thing multiple times on top of each other. And finally there I'm using some just clear embossing powder. You could use a clear embossing powder with glitter or something like that, but I'm just using a clear embossing powder, and then I'm just heat embossing that so that it becomes like, yeah, clear. It helps the ink to pop a little bit, and that is why I'm doing it. Then I'm cutting it out to a little strip, and you're gonna see I'm not getting it perfect, and it's not stamped perfect, it's stamped a little crooked. So I'm going in here multiple times and trying to kind of give it a good dimension. After cutting that off, I realized that cut a little bit closer than the other one, so I'm now going to cut off the slightest little bit at the bottom to kind of line it up. I'm going to make 2 flag ends, so I'm cutting it off so that I have room for the flag ends, cutting in the middle and then cutting up to that point in the middle. It helps you make a perfect little flag end for your card. Now we are ready to build our scene. So I'm taking the 2 pieces here of splattered cardstock, first removing all the kitty hair from my glue tape. That is a problem with having long-haired kitties. I have kitty hair everywhere. I line that up because those are both cut with the same rectangular stitch die. It's actually pretty easy to line them up. They will be perfectly lined up, which I really, really like. And I'm just taping them onto each other. Usually when I use like double things like this, I would kind of try to add things in between. But this time it's just going to be a super simple scene. So the 2 things that is going to be in the background, which is the castle and the dragon, I'm using some tape and some glue to just fasten them directly to the background. And the reason for using both tape and glue is mostly because it's easier. First of all, that tape will actually hold down the castle while it dries, so I don't really have to push anything hold it down. The tape already holds it down. And with the dragon, I'm just using the glue, which also leads to the dragon wanting to kind of lift from the card base. And you can do it 2 ways. Either you have time to just sit and hold it down for a minute or so, maybe, I don't know, half a second or something. I try here, it doesn't really work, so just take a little acrylic block, they're pretty heavy, and just leave it there while I'm doing the other things. So I'm adding these little square foams, as I said before. I'm just using these because I have so many in my stash, and I'm trying to use up everything to kind of clear out what I have in my cupboards. So these I just cut down into slivers, just splitting them in 2 really, to have a few with the legs and with their hair. If you are going to give this as a gift, just hand give the little card. You can just add like a big square in 2 places. However, if you want to send it in the mail, I do recommend adding some foam tape under all of these little pieces, because otherwise they will be kind of pushed down. After adding these little squares on top of everything, I just remove all the back ends, and then the last part is just putting them down. Trying to make sure that my little princesses are facing kind of the middle of the card. So I have one, the dancing one on one edge, the other facing on the other, and this kind of front facing in the middle. It more looks like they are looking on each other, and it gives the card a little bit more happiness. I don't know. Then I just use a little tape runner, add the card to the A3 base card, and there we're done. That's the card for today. I want to thank you so much for watching. All of the materials used are linked in the description down below. If you have any questions, just comment down below. And if you want to see more videos like this, hit that subscribe button. If you like it, please thumbs it up. And I will see you on Friday. Bye!